If you hood educated, I'm glad you made it. Allow me to unfold my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from a hood brother's point of view to all of you, here, there, and everywhere. Now check me out.
FBI Director Kash Patel has just posted that the person of interest they had in custody has just been released. That means that tonight the manhunt continues for the person responsible for this horrific assassination. Hundreds of people were there at Utah Valley University to see conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who had just thrown hats to the cheering crowd and posted on X, "We are so back," touting the first stop on what he called the American Comeback Tour. The 31-year-old conservative star who rallied young people behind President Trump. He just started talking there under that white tent when witnesses say one shot rang out. The shooting was captured on video and is too disturbing to show. Immediately, crowds started running for cover.
We just heard an immediate pop. We're like, what's going on here? And then after that pop, we just saw him in his neck. We saw him fall backward.
I was the last one standing because I couldn't quite believe. I thought maybe it was a stunt. I'm still shaking, and I'm still crying. I love Charlie Kirk. He's awesome. And I prayed for him and his family.
Brendan says he was just 15 feet away. He says Kirk was answering audience questions. He had just been asked about mass shootings when the shot was fired.
He was actually just talking about mass shootings, too, which is crazy, with the trans shooting that just happened recently with the trans shooter. And as soon as he got done answering the question, we heard a loud pop. He got hit in the left side of his neck and dropped. We all dropped. His security dragged him out of there, and we just ran. I was more angry, I would say, than terrified. You know, we hear all the time that we're the problem, we're the violent ones, we're the issue. And yet this is the second mass, shooting attempt on a political figure. First Donald Trump, now we have Charlie Kirk.
Kim had come to see Kirk with her daughter Bentley.
It was scary because you don't know if it's real, if it's not, but you just have to go with your gut and get out of there.
Former Congressman Jason Chaffetz was also there with his family.
People came out to hear the dialogue, the back and forth. Ask him anything. That's what Turning Point and Charlie Kirk's all about. Ask him anything. In the midst of that, the shot rang out.
He says everyone started running and screaming.
And I just hope and pray that somehow, some way he survives this.
But just before 5 this afternoon, President Trump posting the tragic news. The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife Erica and family. Charlie, we love you. In the House, a moment of silence.
I'm just going to state the obvious here. This is detestable, what's happened. Political violence has become all too common in American society, and this is not who we are. Political violence must be called out, and it has to stop.
The university says the gunman fired from a building 200 yards away. FBI Director Kash Patel saying they have a subject for the horrific shooting in custody, while Utah's governor described a person of interest.
We have a person of interest in custody that is being interviewed right now.
The only information we have on the suspect, the possible shooter, is taken from closed-circuit TV here on campus. We do have that. We're analyzing it, but it is security camera footage, so you can kind of guess what the quality of that is. But we do know dressed in all dark clothing, but we don't have a much better description.
But late tonight, the FBI director posting that person of interest has now been released. So many witnesses saying they saw no security at the event before the assassination.
There was no checkpoints, nothing to get in here. Everyone was just able to walk in here. I'm like, I have my backpack. I'm like, if I wanted to, I could just bring a gun with me.
Charlie Kirk survived by his wife and 2 young children. His organization, Turning Point USA, asking that everyone keep his family and loved ones in their prayers.
All right, Liz joins us now live. Liz, there in your report, you were talking about the lack of security. What more do we know about the event that was being hosted there on the college campus?
Well, Tom, this event happened around 12 p.m. local time, and it was open to both students and the public. And we heard witnesses say there was not a lot of security there, no checkpoints. It was all part of Charlie Kirk's American Comeback Tour, where he was going to be going across the country to different college campuses, engaging with students on political issues. This was supposed to be the very start of that tour.
Good evening. My name is Erica Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband. I first want to thank the local, state, and federal law enforcement who worked tirelessly to capture my husband's assassin so that he can be brought to justice. I want to thank the first responders who struggled heroically to save Charles's life, and the police who acted bravely to make sure that there were no other victims on that terrible afternoon. I want to thank the officers who have protected our Turning Point USA family these past 2 days. And I want to thank the Turning Point USA board, the COO, Justin Strife, and my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy, for all their work in these terrible days to be the stability for our family and for the wider Turning Point USA family as well. My heart is with every one of my husband's employees who lost a friend and a mentor. I want to thank the staffers of his amazing Charlie Kirk show, who helped him broadcast from this studio, this chair. Every day he loved it. He loved what he did. I want to thank the millions of people who have shown their love for Charlie here in Phoenix, across America, and worldwide. I want to thank my husband's dear friend, Vice President Vance, and his phenomenal wife, Usha, for their love and support. You guys honored my husband so well bringing him home. You both are tremendous. I want to thank President Trump and his incredible family for the same. Mr. President, my husband loved you. And he knew that you loved him too. He did. Your friendship was amazing. You supported him so well, as did he for you. 2 days ago, my husband, Charlie, went to see the face of his Savior and his God. Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. And one of the final conversations that he had on this earth, my husband witnessed for his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr. Charlie loved life. He loved his life. He loved America. He loved nature, which helped him always bring him closer to God. He loved the Chicago Cubs. And my goodness, did he love the Oregon Ducks. Want me to say go Ducks, so I have to since they play on Saturday. So go Ducks. But most of all, Charlie loved his children. And he loved me with all of his heart. And I knew that. Every day I knew that. He made sure I knew that every day. Every day he would ask me, how can I serve you better? How can I be a better husband? How can I be a better father? Every day. Every day. Such a good man. He still is a good man. He was the perfect father. He was the perfect husband. Charlie always believed that God's design for marriage and the family was absolutely amazing, and it is. It is, and it was the greatest joy of his life. And over, he would tell all these young people to come and find their future spouse, become wives and husbands and parents. And the reason why is because he wanted you all to experience what he had and still has. He wanted everyone to bring heaven into this earth through love and joy that comes from raising a family. It's beautiful. Charlie always said that if he ever ran for office, I know a lot of you asked if he ever was going to, but privately he told me if he ever did run for office that his top priority would be to revive the American family. That was his priority. One of Charlie's favorite Bible verses was Ephesians 5, verse 25. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. My husband laid down his life for me, for our nation, for our children. He showed the ultimate and true covenantal love. I will never, ever have the words to describe the loss that I feel in my heart. I honestly have no idea what any of this means. I know that God does, but I don't. But Charlie, baby, I know you do too. I know you do. So does our Lord. And our world is filled with evil. But our God, you guys, our God is so good. He's so incredibly good. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Already I have seen the worldwide outpouring of love for my husband. I've heard the testimonies from people my husband inspired to get married, to start families, to seek out a relationship with God. It's the most important one of all. The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. In this world, you have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. I love you. I love you. God bless you.
Black people are only 13% of the population, yet they commit 55% of the murders. Why?
Because black people tend to be in lower economic statuses because because of
Okay, no, this is
CRT.
fine. This is great.
Basically.
So you think that poverty equals crime?
I think that it's highly correlated, and there's a lot of studies
This is where
on
we
that.
disagree. What an insult to the working poor
So
of this
why
country.
do you think black people commit more
Well,
crime,
first
Charlie
of all,
Kirk?
so how? Let me ask you a question as
No,
my
answer
answer.
it. Go on.
What percentage of blacks have a father around when they're raised?
I'm not sure.
20%.
So that's why you
80% of
think it
blacks
is.
do not have a stable father around. It is the most predictable way to end up in prison, end up as a murderer or a criminal.
And why
It's
do
not a
you think that's
racism
a problem?
It's not a white supremacy problem. It's a fact that black fathers impregnate women and they don't stay around with the women
And
that they have
why,
impregnated.
Charlie Kirk, do you think that
Is-
that happens more in the black community compared to others?
It's threefold. Number one, we subsidize single motherhood. Number two, it's culture. It's accepted in the black community, and it
so
shouldn't
it's
be.
culture. Okay.
Don't take my
I
word
see.
for it. Read Thomas Sowell's own book on how black culture allows single motherhood to continue into a nanny state type practice. 75% of black youth are raised without a father in the home. 75%. Is that a bigger problem or not a bigger problem than whiteness, white privilege, or white supremacy?
Cold-blooded demonstration. Now, before I get into this demonstration right here, I need everybody to hit that thumbs up button for me because I've been gone for a little while and I need to get back in these algorithms. Draw off this right here. Here it is. I'm talking about like, look, I'm finna be straight up with y'all. I'm not finna cut no corners. I'm not finna play no games. If you are a Charlie Kirk sympathizer, if you agree with Charlie Kirk's ideology, which is a prejudice and racist ideology, you are hereby evicted from your hood educated residency, effective immediately. I'm not giving you a 30-day notice. You gotta go right now. Yeah, hey, look, you gotta go. I'm talking about we putting the eviction notice on the door. You gotta go now. No 30-day notices or none of that. Please exit. Just leave. And look, let's get it clear, right? As far as him being killed and stuff like that, I don't agree with tragedy. You know, I don't agree with that type of stuff. I don't agree with him being shot like that and you know, being sniped and all that old type of stuff. I don't like nobody to be killed, right? Unless you probably done, you know, touched on some kids or you done, you know, took advantage of a woman or something like that. Or if you done did something to me and mine, then it's like, it's fair game. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But again, I don't agree with, you know, him dying. I'm not finna make fun of the dead. That ain't never been my thing. But however, let me say this right here. I understand. Now, I also would like to let this be clear or let this be known. As far as my hood educated audience, I know I got people of European descent, people of Latin descent, African Americans, Africans. You know, I got a plethora of people, right, that are hood educated residents. Allow me to say this right here. I have no problem with anybody having race pride. What you mean, hood educated? You gotta understand something, y'all. There's a difference between race pride and racist, right? So if you love your people and you want to stick close to your people and stuff like that, you'd rather do business with your people, you know, you feel comfortable around your people, you know, you like to encourage your people and champion your people. Hey, look, I have no problem with that. I got race pride. Everybody should have race pride. The thing that I got a problem with is this right here. In Charlie Kirk's demonstration, it was supremacists, you know, white supremacists, you know, things that I just didn't agree with. The way that he would talk so highly about himself and his race and then talk down about my race. So that's why this is it's personal, right? And even though he done transitioned and stuff like that, this right here is for all his followers and people that agree with his ideology. Because here it is, this is a man who, when he was living, spoke so bad about African American people. Everything that he had to say about us, you know, his content was always degrading us. He would say things like African Americans are the problem. You know, he wouldn't say it like that, but he'll put it in a slick type way where we understand what he's saying. But people that want to play blind and don't act like they understand what he's saying, they'll say, no, he's just saying this. Nah, The man is saying that African Americans are the problem in America. The man has came out and said that we abandon our children more than any other race in America. The black homes are fatherless. 70% fatherless. Not only that, the man say that, you know, our black women divorced us, the black man, and married the government. Do y'all hear how that sound? I mean, like, women, y'all should be upset about something like that. Like, damn, we divorced our men. We stopped being with our black men so that we can marry the government and have the government take care of us. And not only that, though, he talks about us being dumb. Like we don't have no type of education and you know, he just belittled us and he just dogged us out. And I'm talking about dogged our heroes and any type of thing that we have did, you know, he was just totally against it. And look, I'm taking it personal. Because, I mean, here it is, this man right here is saying that we are the criminals of America, basically. We are. The African American, we are the criminals of America. And through all his content, not one time have I ever heard him talk about the criminology of his people. I never heard him talk bad about biker gangs, the white biker gangs, the Ku Klux Klans, the white Nazis, and you know, all these racial hate groups in America. I never heard him speak down on them. I've never even heard him talk about them. As if they don't commit crime. They don't do no harm. But it's always the black people, the African American people. I never heard him talk about, you know, white on white crime, white drug use, the rate of, you know, sexual crimes, white on white sexual crimes against each other. I never heard him talk about that type of stuff. And the cold-blooded part about this whole demonstration is this right here. When the guy was asking him, before he was shot and killed, a man was asking him, what does he think about the mass shootings in America? Now, by show of hands, who do all the mass shootings in America? I mean, historically. Who do all the mass killings, the mass shootings in America? Just by a show of hands, who do all the mass shootings and killings in America? Is it white people or black people? Y'all tell me. You see? And as soon as that guy asked Charlie Kirk that, you know what he did? Because he is intelligent enough to understand who commits all the mass shootings. So he just pivoted quick. Are we talking about gang shootings? Come on, man. Come on now. Look, you see, he knew where the guy was going when he asked him about the mass shooting. So he pivoted and said, are you talking about gang shootings? Once again, to the black people. Not taking no accountability, no ownership. But the cold-blooded part about all of that is that as soon as he said that, like a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds later, he was sniped, shot, and killed in front of over 3,000 white young Americans in one of the whitest states in America. And I'm talking about, he talks so bad about black people. You would have thought in your mind that, hey, you know what? Black guys really showed that they are the criminals. And they killed them. But nah. It wasn't us, the guys that he's been criminalizing through all his content. We are not the ones that killed him. It was someone that looked just like him. Check it out.
The hunt for the person who fatally shot conservative activist and father of two Charlie Kirk is over after President Donald Trump announced the suspect is in custody. 31-year-old Kirk was the founder of the conservative youth activist organization Turning Point USA. He was fatally wounded on Wednesday, September 10th during a campus event in Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Authorities have identified 22-year-old Tyler Robinson as a suspect who allegedly killed Kirk. Here is a timeline of how the shooting unfolded and how Robinson was arrested. According to Utah Governor Spencer Cox, suspect Tyler Robinson arrived at UVU's campus at 8:29 a.m. local time on the day of the shooting, driving a gray Dodge Challenger. Bo Mason, the commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety, said authorities tracked the suspect's movements onto the campus.
Through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location.
At 12:07 p.m., a crowd awaits Charlie Kirk at UVU, the first stop on Turning Point USA's The American Comeback Tour. Supporters start chanting Kirk's name ahead of his appearance. Around 12:09, Kirk makes his appearance and throws hats out into the crowd of about 3,000 people.
All right, we're gonna get started, everybody. You know how it works.
12:11 p.m., Kirk begins speaking, opening debate and answering questions from individuals in the crowd. At 12:23 p.m., Kirk is hit with a single shot to the neck, appearing to come from an elevated position on a nearby rooftop. Video shows Kirk being carried by 6 men to an SUV, which transports him to Timpanogos Regional Hospital. According to authorities, immediately following the shooting, the subject moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled campus into a nearby neighborhood. At 12:52 p.m., UVU sent out an alert that police are investigating and that a suspect is in custody. The person of interest is released after questioning. At 2:22 p.m., the Orem Police Department said the shooting suspect was not in custody and is still at large. At 2:40 p.m., President Donald Trump announces in a post on Truth Social that Charlie Kirk has died from his injuries, writing, quote, "No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie." At 4 p.m., Utah Governor Spencer Cox clarifies during a press conference that there is a person of interest in custody who is being questioned.
To whoever did this, we will find you.
At 4:21 p.m., FBI Director Kash Patel writes in a post on X that the subject, quote, "for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk, is in custody." Authorities later say the person of interest was not the shooting suspect and was released after questioning. At 7 a.m. on Thursday, September 11th, FBI Special Agent in Charge, Robert Bowles, announces during a press conference that authorities have recovered what is believed to be the weapon used in the shooting, a high-powered bolt-action rifle. At 9:56 a.m., authorities released images of the suspected shooter, asking for the public's help in identifying them. The FBI writes in a post on X that it is offering a reward of up to $100,000 for information leading to the identification and the arrest of the individual responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. At 6 a.m. Mountain Time on Friday, September 12th, President Donald Trump announced on Fox and Friends in New York that a person is in custody.
As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted.
At 8 a.m., Utah Governor Spencer Cox said at a press conference that Tyler Robinson, a Utah native, was identified as the person who shot and killed Kirk.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
He was taken into custody in St. George, Utah, on Friday. Cox said that after Robinson's father recognized his son in the distributed photographs, he told Robinson to turn himself in. Robinson initially said no, but later changed his mind, officials said. The father then called a youth pastor, who is also a U.S. Marshals Task Force officer. The officer advised the father to have Robinson stay in place. This information was then conveyed to the FBI.
I'm grateful that at this moment we have an opportunity to bring closure to this very dark chapter in our nation's history.
Cold-blooded demonstration. But we the criminals, though, right? We the criminals. African Americans are the criminals. But we ain't the ones shooting down government officials and all that old type of stuff. We ain't the ones doing all these mass shootings and all this old type of stuff. But he criminalized us so much that even his own audience thought that we had shot and killed him. To the point where his own audience and people that believe in his content started threatening black universities. Check it out.
On alert and on pause, at least 6 historically black colleges have halted activities after receiving potential threats against their campuses. The lockdown measures come in the wake of yesterday's shooting of Charlie Kirk, though officials have not linked any of those threats to that shooting. Our Alex Brochet joins us now with more. So what are we learning about the threats and the lockdowns and where it's taking place, Alex?
Yeah, Kira. So we're tracking now at least 7 of these HBCUs that have been under lockdown in the past 24 hours following that assassination of Charlie Kirk. That includes Alabama State, Hampton, Virginia State, Southern, Bethune-Cookman, Clark Atlanta, and also Spelman there in Atlanta. Now, some of these universities have already begun the process of lifting these lockdowns or shelter in places. Others have, like Southern, have actually extended those through the weekend. They've canceled classes through the weekend, which at this moment, that is the longest extension of this lockdown. But I can tell you that the FBI has released a statement. I don't know if we have a full screen of it, but it does say that the FBI takes these threats very seriously because it puts innocent people at risk. While we have no information to indicate a credible threat, we will continue to work with our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners to gather, share, and act upon threat information as it comes to our attention. But I can tell you that we've been in touch with a number of students, including some on the campus of Hampton. Our team has, and you know, as you might imagine, Akira, I mean, this is really shaking a lot of these young students up. There's fear of uncertainty and also possible violence as this is yet another instance of their campuses being threatened.
And I see civil rights leader Reverend Al Sharpton responding to this as well. Alex saying political violence or acts of hate get us nowhere. We can march, we can debate, but we cannot cause physical harm to those we disagree with. Alex Brochet, thank you.
You see what I'm saying? Why else would black universities get death threats and bomb threats and all this old type of stuff after he was shot and killed, if they didn't believe exactly what he was saying? So that's what made Charlie Kirk dangerous. Very dangerous. Because here it is, y'all. This guy right here is a leader to these people. And being that when a leader speaks down to other people, oh yeah, nah. If this leader is telling people, hey, look, be careful. Black people are more than likely to harm you than your own white race. So be careful, be scared, be paranoid of black people. We got to understand, when he get to preaching like that and talking like that, white people get scared. And not only that, but they believe what he is saying. And being that they believe what he is saying, look, a lot of people can get killed. A lot of black people can get killed, shot, and all type of other stuff. because of what he is preaching. Draw off this right here. There's more proof that what he said had white people believing that black people had did it. Check it out.
You are about to unleash. You want a fucking war? Is that what you want? You really want a fucking war with this side? People on our side have no problem ending fucking bloodlines. Do you understand that? We are the most fucking humble, peaceful people on this fucking planet, and you are fucking with us. I am who I am, and I'm never gonna stop speaking out against the left. And if that costs me my life one day, so be it. But I can tell you this, we will never stop fighting for what we fucking believe in this great country, this great nation. We love the United States of America, and just because you don't, doesn't give you the fucking right to kill us. You people disgust me. I can promise you one thing, our side is a way better shot.
White man, fight back. Go get a gun, Brad. Go get a gun. Fight back. Our streets. Our streets. Our streets. Our land. Fuck you all. Fuck you all. White man. Fight back. White man. Fight back. White man. Fight back. Fight back. Defend our home. Take back our land. Say his name! Charlie Kirk! Say his name! Charlie Kirk! Say his name! Charlie Kirk! Say his name! Charlie Kirk!
As the white population continues to be replaced with a population of non-white, non-Southeast Americans who hate us, it becomes more and more dangerous for us here every day. Every time you go somewhere as a family unit, with your wife and your children, you're surrounded by people that look nothing like you and have disdain for you.
Man, fight back! White 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 man, fight back!
You see what I'm saying? This man right here got white people believing that that black people is taking over their country. We really ain't Americans and stuff like that, according to those people, right? And the cold-blooded part about that is this right here. This man right here got other white people believing that they are losing their country. He got other white people that believe in his type of ideology. As y'all seen when they, raided not the White House, but when they ran up in them buildings and stuff like that in Washington, D.C. Listen, the mass majority of people in the United States of America is of European descent. White people. We make up 13 to 14%. How we gonna take over this goddamn country? What type of military officers that we got to run a coup and to take over this whole nation? You see what I'm saying? Listen, before the African Americans take over this country, America, they will blow this motherfucker up and go back to Europe before they let us take this country. I'm just being 100 and I'm just being honest with y'all. Listen. But when you got people like Charlie Kirk preaching this type of stuff, then you got to understand that a lot of these illiterate white people, men and women, believe everything this man is saying without even doing any homework, without even doing any studying themselves. So now let's get to some of his talking points, right? Because I believe that it's very important that we address this stuff, because a lot of people, black people, agree with what this man was saying and what he was preaching when it came to disrespecting African American people. And that right there just blew my mind, but at the same time, I gotta understand something. A lot of our people don't take the time out to study, don't take the time to research, and here it is, you have a white man that is confident, is all outdoors telling you, hey, listen, check this out. You know, black guys, you know, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna let him tell you. Check it out.
White individuals are actually more likely to be attacked, especially even per capita, by black individuals in this country. The narrative that they have. Now, were they trying to hijack her? Were these blacks trying to go rob her? Happening all the time in urban America. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. It's happening more and more. What percentage of blacks have a father around when they're raised?
I'm not sure.
20%.
So
80% of blacks do not have a stable father around. It is the most predictable way to end up in prison, end up as a or a criminal.
And why
it's
do
not
you
a
think
racism
that's a problem?
It's not a white supremacy problem. It's a fact that black fathers impregnate women and they don't stay around with the women
And
that they have
why,
impregnated.
Charlie Kirk, do you think that that happens more in the black community compared to others?
It's threefold. Number one, we subsidize single motherhood. Number two, it's culture. It's accepted in the black community, and it
so
shouldn't
it's
be.
culture. Okay.
Don't take my
I
word
see.
for it. Read Thomas Sowell's own book on how black culture allows single motherhood to continue into a nanny state type practice. 75% of black youth are raised without a father in the home. 75%. Is that a bigger problem or not a bigger problem than whiteness, white privilege, or white supremacy? How
They
can
should
you
all
blame?
be addressed, and they're all related.
Okay, how is a white person to blame? Wouldn't it be more like smart to be like, hey, that this is not about systemic racism? Like, stop impregnating your women and abandoning them?
Y'all hear him? That I'm talking about, like, we don't play no role in our children's lives. We need to stop impregnating our women and leaving them. Man, Charlie. Now, I know a lot of brothers believe this. I know a lot of sisters believe this. But your beliefs are nothing compared to facts. According to reports and studies, out of all the racial groups in the United States of America, African American people, black people, whatever we want to call ourselves, are in our children's lives more than any other race. Oh, hood, man, come on, man. Hood, don't do that, man. Don't do that. You're right. I ain't gonna do it. I'm just gonna prove it to you. Check it out.
New tonight, just like moms, dads matter. And there's research to back that up.
When a dad is involved, the child's overall emotional and social well-being improves, and they also do better in school.
One of the goals is challenging the absent black father myth. A 2013 study by the CDC shows 70% of black fathers who live with their children were most likely to be involved in activities like bathing, dressing, and driving their children to activities compared with their white or Hispanic counterparts.
It's a question 10-year-old Centers for Disease Control research tackled. It found black fathers more involved in their children's lives compared to other racial groups, a fact so obscured by a different narrative. The U.S. House of Representatives member Frederica Wilson, founder of Miami's 5,000 Black Role Models mentoring program, called this policy meeting in the U.S. Capitol to change.
It is very disingenuous the way they are perceived and stereotyped across this nation. And it's time to amplify the message.
Her Congressional Commission on the Social Status of Black Men and Boys plans to attack disparities and misconceptions with more research.
I accept God's given responsibilities.
And pledges from people working to help.
Go, Dad, go, Dad, go.
Between park trips and story time with his son Cole, Patterson is an advocate for the Fatherhood Task Force of South Florida, a group that trains, teaches, supports, and holds workshops with dads.
I think that false narrative is discouraging to young fathers.
With their full court press, advocates see a score that might turn heads. Wilson and other members of Congress expect their meeting in D.C. to ripple here, too. They hope organizations use their platform to bring attention and attack misconceptions, too.
Yeah, that be us. Yeah, stick your chest out a little bit now, you know. I mean, come on, walk with your head up now. Yeah, these are studies. These is facts, not your feelings. These are facts. And the cold-blooded part about that whole demonstration is they even said in this study that those of us who are no longer living in the house with our children, we still leading the charge in taking care of our children more than any other race in America. And what I mean by that is this right here. Let's say me and a sister, we get together and we have a baby, and somewhere down the line it don't work out, and I leave the house and she stay in the house, I'm still coming to get my baby. We still going to go get our children. We still playing a major role in our kids' life, better than any other race in the United States of America. So that's in the home and outside the home. So that just proved that this man is lying. But I understand why he's lying. I understand it because he got to cater to his base. He got to speak to his base. He got to give them that courage to say, hey, yeah, you guys are this, you guys are that, and it's all false. Now, I'm not saying this right here to belittle any other race of people, don't get me wrong, but I'm just correcting this man's right here ideology. And not only that, you know, I need to correct it for the benefit of my people so that they can get a better understanding of themselves if they don't have that understanding. This is nothing against white men. This is nothing against Asian men. This is nothing against Latin men, Native American. This ain't nothing against y'all. But everybody know that there has been a thing out here in the United States of America that says, hey, look, black fathers don't take care of their kids. And that's a motherfucking lie. A straight up lie. We love our children. We take care of our children. And I ain't got to tell you, I just showed you. The facts do. Now, another thing that he said, which is, I'm talking about a straight up lie, is that we are the problem. We, the African American, the black man and woman, we are the problem. And that right there is a straight up lie. See, listen, let me tell y'all something. When it comes to African American people, there's a light shining on us and our criminality, right? There's a thing that they have coined called black on black crime. You never hear white on white crime. You never hear Asian on Asian crime. You never hear native on native crime. You never hear Latino on Latino crime. You never hear those. As if these peoples don't do crime. But you hear black on black crime. Why though? Why are you hearing black on black crime? Because, listen, the media in this systemic racism system, they want everybody to fear black people. They want everybody to look at black people and like, oh my God, they're criminals. They're animals, savages. Stay away from them. Don't do business with them. The African American, the black man has been criminalized ever since he left slavery. And the reason why he's been criminalized ever since he left slavery, because that's another intelligent way to keep the black man in slavery. And I know some of you say, hey, hood educated, you know, I ain't got no chains on, I ain't got no shackles on my feet. What type of slavery you talking about? Prison. Prison is slavery. It's in the Constitution. You get there, they can have you doing a job that somebody out here in the world be getting paid $35 to $55 an hour, and you doing it for 10 cents. They call it slave labor. You see? Not only that, they can treat you like a slave, you know, when they criminalize you, and then you get a felon and stuff like that. Then look, they don't have to give you the same rights that they give the average American. Yeah, No, you got a felony on your record. They can deny you a place to live. You go try to get an apartment somewhere in a decent area. They said, nah, you got a felony? Nah, I ain't hiring. You can't come live over here. No, you got a felon. Oh, you got a felon? You want to work at this place? Oh, no, you can't work here. You got a felon. They can do that to you. But here's where the slavery come in at. Those jobs that don't nobody want, those hard, back-breaking jobs, yeah, the one that don't nobody want, you got to work them, felon. This is slavery. Yeah, you got to work this hard-ass job that's going to kill you in 10 years for less than what it is worth. Oh, you want a place to live? Oh, you got to live in this roach, rat-infested property? Yeah. No, Oh, you want credit? Yeah, all right. It's going to make it hard as hell for you to get credit. Going to make it hard as hell for you to get a loan. And I'm not saying that these things are not possible, but it's going to be hard. Why you think that the recidivism rate is so high? Why you think people leave prison and go back? Because they go back to what they know. Okay, I can't get no money dealing with these people, man. I got to go hustle. I got to go steal. I got to go rob. I got to sell drugs. They put them right back in the same environment that they left. And you think they ain't going to commit no more crimes. They ain't going to go back to what they know. Okay? But this is what we are dealing with. Right? This is what we are dealing with as a people. And I mean, a lot of people don't believe this, and that's okay. You ain't got to believe it. But it's the truth. I lived it. I know it. There's multiple brothers that I know throughout the United States of America living it right now, today. But so he say that we are the criminals and that we are the problems. And that we create, and that we commit, 70% or what do you say, 50-some% of the crimes in America, and we only make up, 14 to 13% of the population? And a lot of people believe that. But that's falsehood too. And let's just say if it was true, right? The way that they criminalize black people so much that you would think that all of us is criminals. And I always tell y'all, look, it's just a small percentage of us that commits these crimes and that's doing all this dumb stuff out here. Okay, let's do the numbers. Let's say that, okay, we 14% of the population of the United States of America. That's roughly 45 million, 44 million, somewhere around that area, right? People, right? And let's say that there's 1 million African Americans locked up, which it is about like that many people, black people that are locked up for committing crimes. That right there is what? What's the percentage on that? 1 million. Out of 45 million, 47 million, 44 million. What's the percentage on that? I ain't finna do all that right there, but just look at that. So that's basically saying that out of, let's say, 44 million, 1 million people are committing crimes and doing dumb stuff, but 43 million people are tax-paying citizens. They don't talk about that, though. They don't talk about that. But if you listen to it, black on black crime and how the news show us in the news all the time committing crimes, you would think that all of us is criminals. But that's falsehood. But it's a brother that break this thing down so cold-blooded, I couldn't do it no better than him, and I'm going to let him do it for you. But I'm gonna lead with Charlie, with him demonstrating his measure, and then I'm going to let the brother correct. Check it out.
Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. For example, blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Okay,
Let's talk about it. These are obviously racist claims, but I will respond to them as if Charlie Kirk were a reasonable person.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
About half of all prisoners are black.
Wrong. Just 38% of America's prison population is black. That's according to the U.S. government. But it makes you wonder why Charlie feels the need to add an additional 12% to the black prison population. Could it be because his bigoted talking points only work if he exaggerates them? If Charlie were actually looking for the race that makes up half the prison population in the U.S., he'd look no further than white people at 57%.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do.
Wrong. The word "so" is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
So blacks commit more crimes.
He's saying "so" as in therefore, as in one could conclude, but Charlie knows he's lying. Even if he hadn't just lied about the black prison population, Charlie is smart enough to know that correlation does not equal causation, but he's hoping that you don't know that. So he deploys the word "so" to make you think he's coming to an obvious conclusion.
So blacks.
Instead, he's making an illogical, racist leap. Charlie knows that we don't have usable data about who commits crimes. It's impossible to have that data since so many crimes go both unreported and or unsolved. Charlie knows that we only have data about arrests and convictions. I'll come back to that data in a moment. What's painfully obvious is that Charlie Kirk isn't interested in understanding the statistics he so carelessly misquotes. He's interested in making bad faith arguments. Something that becomes even more obvious in his next point.
Blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Wrong again, and loud this time. If Charlie were interested in honesty, he would have mentioned the other 1350 statistic. Yes, black people are about 13% of the population, but make up 53% of all criminal exonerations. In fact, black people make up 55% of all murder exonerations specifically. Black people are more likely than any other group in this country to be convicted of crimes they did not commit. And then people like you have the nerve to parade these stats around as though they prove something. The reality is that you probably know these stats, but you leave them out on purpose because to bring that stat into this conversation would make some people think. And that's the last thing a person like you wants.
Thanks for coming today. Are there any trends within the black community, such as higher crime rates or higher illegitimacy rates that could explain their position vis-a-vis whites? And can those be explained by some dominant social group?
No.
No to the first one, or
no to both.
So there's no.
I mean, there's a propagandistic mechanism that's afloat about, black illegitimacy and black criminality. I guess it depends on what kind of crime you have in mind. If we think about which community in the United States has the highest degree of history of violence, that's unquestionably white Americans. Unquestionably. I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware of the 100 massacres that were conducted between the end of the Civil War and World War II that were directed against black communities throughout the United States, in which thousands of blacks were killed and the white terrorists appropriated black-owned property. So there's no segment of the population that has a greater history of violence than white Americans. So when you talk about these kinds of matters to me, you're actually mouthing a set of propagandistic claims that are made on the right in the United States, and they do not have a foundation in fact.
All right, so.
Sorry, we need to move on with the last two questions.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cold-blooded. I'm talking about, this is research. These are facts. Research and facts. But not only that, though. Because, we're talking about criminals, and we're talking about crime, and we're talking about violence, right? And no disrespect, none whatsoever, to the hood-educated residents that are of European descent. No disrespect to y'all whatsoever. But I gotta be 100 here. When you get to talking about criminals and violence, listen. White people, violence, criminal, man, stop. African American people, we ain't never went and dropped no bombs on Japan and killed 200,000 men, women, and children. We never dropped a nuclear bomb on nobody. African American people ain't never enslaved the people and took their whole culture, stripped them of their religion. abused them mentally, emotionally, financially, economically, and physically. Listen, let me tell you something. Back in those slavery days, y'all, they used to do us so bad. They used to take our babies and throw them in the alligator pits and make us watch it. They would pull us out and whip us in front of everybody. I'm talking about all the kids and all our women. They would come and molest our children, rape our women in front of us, and there was nothing that we can do. Not only that though, there would be times where they would cut body pieces up off of us and just have kids and other men and women playing with our body parts. Burning us at the stake. I'm talking about burning us to a crisp, sticking the thing all up in our anus and sticking us up in the air. I'm talking about just violence, criminals, and we still ain't been paid for the labor. We still ain't been paid for slave labor that the African American people did in this country. And I know a lot of people say, hey man, you know, that was a long time ago and all that, man, get over it. Move on. And you know what, you're right, I will move on. But I'll never forget it. And I'll never get over it. How could I? How could I deny that? That's just like telling the Jewish people to stop thinking about the Holocaust. Don't nobody say that to them. Don't nobody tell Jewish people, hey man, stop talking about the Holocaust. Y'all don't need a Holocaust museum and all. People don't tell them that. Or if they do, they don't say it in a way where people talk to my people and say, hey, forget about slavery. You see what I'm saying? And the same people that are telling us to forget about slavery are the same people that can't forget about 9/11. And that was 2,000 and some people, 3,000 people done died, which is unfortunate. But we talking about hundreds of thousands, possibly millions that done died of my people. And we still ain't been paid for our labor. Now, a lot of people say, man, you know, we built this country. And a lot say, well, what do you mean you built this country? Black people, let me explain to you what we mean when we say that. If it wasn't for our hard labor, America wouldn't be America today. What you mean, hood educated? White people are highly intelligent. They business peoples and all that. I give you that. But here's the thing. The money that America made from slavery, they took that money and invested it in everything else. Yeah, invested in everything else. And now America is getting, you know, finances, is building an economic system and stuff like that, building a government and stuff like that, off of the backs and the money from slavery. So that's how we built it. That's how. So another thing that he had said that I take issue with, he disrespected Martin Luther King. And not just Martin Luther King, he disrespected multiple heroes of the African American persuasion. I'm talking about, and it's just like, for what? Why would you do that? And why would you disrespect Martin Luther King? He's gone. He's dead. You disrespected a dead person. You sounded like one of these rappers out here. But see, he understood that by him disrespecting the people that everybody hold high, of our people that everybody hold high, that he would plead and he would, you know, poke at his base. I don't like these people. I don't care who they is or what they do. The man disrespected Martin Luther King. I'm talking about Mr. Turn the Other Cheek. Him. That man he disrespected. And talked real bad about the brother. I'm talking about listen. I look at Martin Luther King as a hero. And not only do I look at Martin Luther King as a hero, a lot of white people look at Martin Luther King as a hero. The man got streets and boulevards and statues and all parks and all type of stuff everywhere. And you got the nerve to disrespect him, and he can't defend himself or nothing. But just because you believe that somebody else is more qualified than him, man, come on, man. And but it don't stop there. The man said LeBron James is a womanizer, and you know Beyoncé music is disgusting, and you know he always used the what they call that stuff, DUI or whatever it is. I don't get into all that type of stuff right there, but I think it's DEI. And the code, as a matter of fact, let's hear his words. So y'all don't think hood educated, you just saying stuff out your mouth. I need y'all to hear it from him so that y'all can really feel it. Check it out.
Surgeon and flight are the top two, where it's like no one really cares when it's HR managers. No one cared when it was, just kind of paper shufflers or even engineers. But now when it's like, wait, hold on a second. You're going to remove my appendix and you're a black lesbian.
Yeah. Well, you bring these.
I'm sorry. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Okay. Because of DEI, it begs the question, when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. Juneteenth. What exactly is going on here? Well, very few people are willing to actually call this out. From the first time that this was floated as a federal holiday, I am thankful and proud to say on this program we opposed it. This is not about out of many one. No, it's about a certain skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. The exact same thing that happens before NFL games where they play the black national anthem. This recognition of this as a quote-unquote federal holiday comes right out of the 1619 Project. Look who's most excited that this is a federal holiday. And they're not talking about this as a massive celebration. Oh, wow, look how far blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Now we have a full day to be able to smear and slander white America. This holiday is a wedge, and I put in quotes, holiday is a wedge, used to push for countless destructive policies demanded by BLM. And remember what BLM stands for: burn, loot, and murder. Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday is a nationalized race hustle. Beyoncé, even though she's, I guess, one of the biggest music stars ever, I find her music to be awful, unlistenable, and just, quite honestly, just noise. It's not music. It's disgusting.
The point, Simone Biles. You're representing your nation, you're selfish sociopath. I just said she's probably the greatest gymnast of all time. She's also very selfish, she's immature, and she is a shame to the country.
LeBron James is a self-interested, narcissistic, and we know he's not very smart. LeBron James chronically cheats on his wife, obviously. He's an NBA player. Because of DEI, it begs the question, when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence? Or is she there because of affirmative action? It almost creates thought patterns that are not necessarily wholesome. Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action, and particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color, but I can declare that I did not graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
I hear because of action affirmative. She can't even say that. We know. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. They think we're like, oh, of course. That's why we need affirmative action, because you have impressed us with your brilliance. Of course. Oh no, imagine the world without Joy Reid. Imagine the world without Sheila Jackson Lee or Michelle Obama or Ketanji Brown Jackson. They think this is persuasive. They think as they kind of now reveal that I'm only here because of anti-white, anti-Asian forced discrimination policies. That turned me into a bitter, resentful activist that hates white people, honestly, through...
Something went awry. I can name at least a dozen people more deserving in the 20th century of a federal holiday than MLK. The reason we talk about race so much is because we have a federal holiday to a guy that talked about race all the time. We celebrate the Civil Rights Act more than the American founding.
But I can say declaratively, this guy is not worthy of a national holiday. He is not worthy of godlike status. In fact, I think it's really hard. We note in our piece that Kirk describes King as, quote, a bad guy. It's true. And Kirk's self-described very, very radical view that the country made a mistake when it passed the Civil Rights Act. Also true.
Something went awry. I can name at least a dozen people more deserving in the 20th century of a federal holiday than MLK.
We know for certain that MLK, being a minister, was a womanizer and had multiple 40-plus affairs. I want to make sure that is mentioned. But there's also another accusation around Martin Luther King. Said, quote, a group met in a hotel room and discussed which women among the parishioners would be suitable for natural and unnatural sex acts. When one of the women protested that she did not approve of this, the Baptist minister immediately and forcibly raped her. The type summary states, parenthetically, saying that, quote, Martin Luther King looked on, laughed, and offered advice while the woman was raped.
The man done lost his mind. And then not only that, they got the nerve to try to put him on the side of Martin Luther King as if he is a white image of Martin Luther King. Come on, man. Like, y'all stop. Y'all flying flags at half staff and want the NFL to be silent and all this old type of stuff. Like, come on, man. Like, this guy right here was not, he's not even in the military. But he's a buddy of Donald Trump, so Donald Trump definitely gonna look out for him and got these people championing him like that because they like his racist ideas and his prejudice ideology. And that's pathetic. I'm talking about pathetic. Did you hear the man say, he said that if he see a black pilot, he got to look at the black pilot and say, boy, I hope he's qualified to fly a goddamn plane. Now, let me explain something to y'all, right, about this DEI stuff, right, or DIE, whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. One thing we got to understand about that stuff is this right here. If a person wants to fly a plane, whether he's black, Latin, Asian, white, Native American, he has to go to a particular school to get qualified. They're not going to look at you in the DEI, DIE, whatever that stuff is. They're not going to look at you and say, oh, just because you black, you can go and fly this plane. No, you got to go to school. You got to get educated. You got to be qualified. For an example, the brothers that's flying them jets in the United States Air Force, and the white guys that are flying them jets in the United States Air Force, they got to go through training. They're not going to say, hey, man, you know what, man, we got this DEI stuff, man, and, you know, we got to let you go ahead and get on the plane and fly it, man. You ain't got to be trained or nothing like that. We going to just let you fly. No. Listen, they got to be trained, and after training, they have to be qualified. But a lot of people don't understand that. look, if you want to be a lawyer, you gotta go through the bar. You gotta go through the bar exams. They're not gonna say, well, you know what, just because you're DIE or DEI, whatever that stuff is, yeah, you can be a lawyer because we gotta have a black person in, and you know, you're a token black person. No, they gotta go through the bar exam. That's how they get there. That's how they are qualified. And that's in anything. So when he say stuff like that, if the people that he was talking to had any type of intellect, they would know that, and they would say, hey, Charlie, come on. You pushing it on that, bro. Like, come on, man. You can't just say that somebody is, you know, they're not qualified when obviously if they sitting in that cockpit and as a pilot, they went to school. They got educated. They got trained. They are qualified. But if you don't do no study, and if you just believe this man because he's just saying stuff out of his mouth and he's saying it confidently, then you would think like, damn, you know what, he right, man. Black people can't fly planes. Nah, hell no. I ain't never seen a black pilot before. Cap, there's multiple black pilots. Multiple. But when people don't know, when people don't educate themselves, then hey, look, these are the things that happen. Now, I got one more thing about this man right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and leave it alone. The man said that, that, you know, we are the most people that are on welfare. That the black woman has kicked the black man out and married the government. And the reason why he's saying that she married the government is because, you know, she can get Medicaid, she can get food stamps, she can get cash, she can get everything that a man can provide her, but from the government. And he got everybody, or his people that, you know, his audience believing that black people have the most, I'm talking about, of everybody in the United States of America are the most welfare recipients out of all the races. And that's a goddamn lie. Check it out.
So I posted about white folks on food stamps, and one thing I kept seeing was that welfare was created for white people. I knew that it was created during the New Deal, so I did some more research because I didn't really know the whole story, and I thank you guys for responding and helping me learn stuff. So during the Great Depression is when we saw the beginning of things like Social Security, unemployment insurance. But here's the kicker. When Franklin Roosevelt built those programs, he had to make deals with Southern Democrats in Congress, the same folks who were big fans of Jim Crow, to get the support of these racist white Southern politicians. The programs were designed to exclude farm workers, domestic workers, jobs held overwhelmingly by black, Latino, and indigenous people. So right from the start, black and brown families were pushed out of benefits so that white people could get them. Then we move forward to the 1960s, and there's this war on poverty. It finally opened up welfare programs more broadly, and that's when food stamps became permanent. Well, permanent, we don't know what Trump's going to do to them, but they lasted a long time. And guess what? The minute more black and brown families started accessing this help, the politics shifted. Welfare got a new image and a new target. By the 1980s and 90s, with Ronald Reagan and his gang, they pushed the welfare queen myth. That's a racist dog whistle meant to turn public opinion against safety nets by blaming black women for poverty that white policies created. That's the truth, you guys. So yes, welfare was built for white people, and when others finally got in the door, they tried to burn the house down. If you want to blame the right people, you got to get curious.
And look, I think the entire reparations argument is so unbelievably convoluted and dangerous. First of all, you hit it on the point at the beginning where how do you do justice for something that was that sinful for that period of time? However, instead of talking about the generations of which people have no actual relationship with right now, talk very specifically today over The $22 trillion that we have spent in the black community since 1960, $22 trillion in government welfare and in housing and urban development, has that made the black community richer over the last 40 or 50 years? It's actually made it worse. It's actually made it, it's made fatherlessness rate go up and all that. So I think we first have to just reject the idea that handing out money to a community or more stuff is going to improve that community. In fact, there's no evidence. It's the exact opposite. The two poorest communities in America, the two poorest with the highest rates of fatherlessness, the most issues, are the two communities with the most amount of government assistance per capita. Native American community and the black community. And handing out checks to a community that's suffered so much already under having a bunch of stuff, welfare, single motherhood assistance, SNAP, Medicaid, housing, urban development. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars that are spent already every single, and it's not making the community richer.
Right.
Giving more stuff out does not make the community richer. It doesn't. And there's two other things. Rebuilding and strengthening the black church and the revitalization of the black entrepreneur. In order to make communities wealthier, you need people to take risks, which is why I talk about access to capital, why I talk about people that have an idea and acting upon that idea. Those are the two biggest things. Black fathers, black entrepreneurs. Those things are going to help revitalize a lot more than a reparations debate will in this country. So I appreciate it very much. So thank you.
In the U.S., most people who receive government assistance are white, simply because white Americans make up the largest share of the population. Here's what the numbers look like based on U.S. Census Bureau and Department of Health and Human Services data. As of recent data, around 38 to 40% of welfare recipients are white. In raw numbers, that's roughly 12 to 15 million white Americans receiving some form of means tested public assistance such as SNAP, food stamps, TANF, Medicaid, or housing aid. By comparisons, African Americans make up about 20 to 25% of recipients, about 7 to 9 million people. And Hispanics, Latino Americans make up around 30 to 35, about 10 to 12 million people. Key point: whites are the largest group on welfare in total numbers, but black and Hispanic Americans are most likely per capita to receive assistance because poverty rates are higher among those groups. Now, why is this important? Well, the man just laid up here and said that they spend, billions upon billions and trillions upon trillions for welfare for African Americans. But the cold-blooded part about his statement is that he didn't include the other racial groups, the other millions upon millions of people that receive welfare. But see, he would say it in a way where he would have his audience and black Americans believe to themselves that, damn, they spent all this money on us and we still ain't overcame nothing. But not only that, as the data prove that the reason why African Americans, the reason why poor white peoples, the reason why poor black peoples, the reason why poor Native Americans or Latin peoples receive assistance is because of the poverty in their communities. But not only that, by his logic, being that the government assistance is more applied to white people, then the same thing that he said about black people and their government assistance should apply to white people in receiving government assistance too. But he don't make mention of that. He don't speak nothing about that. Why? Because he want to downgrade everybody that don't look like him.
We have spent $30 trillion on the social welfare system since 1965. Black people are poorer, and the single motherhood went from 25% to now 75 to 80%. So the more money we've spent on black America, the less fathers we have, because black women divorced black men and married the government.
Y'all see what I'm saying? I'm using white people to tell it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even got to tell it no more. I'm using white people to tell it. You see? So, look. it's unfortunate that this man has lost his life for having a freedom of speech, because a lot of people are saying that he died because of, you know, his opinion and all that old type of stuff. And a lot of people are getting a lot of backlash because, you know, they're doing freedom of speech and talking about his death. And that right there is backwards to me. Like, how y'all gonna condemn some people for, you know, talking crazy about this man when this man was talking crazy about people for years and ain't nobody said nothing? You see? But then as soon as he died, now all of a sudden, you can't talk about him. Don't say nothing about him. You better not. Hell no, you better not. Yeah, I know he talked about you. I know he dogs y'all out and stuff like that. Yeah, no, but you can't talk about him. Nuh-uh. But before I depart, I'm going to let this preacher break it down for y'all better than I can. Check it out.
Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be assassinated. But I'm overwhelmed seeing the flags of the United States of America at half staff calling this nation to honor and venerate a man who was an unapologetic racist and spent all of his life sowing seeds of division and hate into this land. And hearing people with selective rage who are mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't give a damn about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were shot down in their home tell me I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who had no respect for my own life. I am sorry, but there's nowhere in Bible where we are taught to honor evil. And how you die does not redeem how you lived. You do not become a hero in your death when you are a weapon of the enemy in your life. I can abhor the violence that took your life, but I don't have to celebrate how you chose to live. I am overwhelmed.
This is Hood Educated, not Lane Related. If I said anything that caused you to think, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And if you're feeling generous, please make a small donation to the channel. Now, before I depart, allow me to give a shout out to some of the blessings that I received this week. Tennis Tillman for the $10 Cash App. Thank you. Shandon Gregory for the $5 Cash App. Thank you. Alice White for the $15 Cash App. Thank you. Main Man for the $3 Cash App. Thank you. White Mike for the $10 Cash App. Thank you. Gilbert Ebone for the $2 Cash App. Thank you. Lavette Moore for the $40 Cash App. Thank you. Mr. JJ for the $2 Super Thanks. Thank you. Desert Detroiter for the $4.99 Super Thanks. This is Hood Educated, not Lane Related. Peace and love. And y'all take care of yourself out there.